The first major update for GGD's Modern and Massive 2 is now available. With this update, does it officially make this drum library the best drum library for EKit players? In my personal opinion, yes. Now, some of you might be saying, what about Superior Drummer 3? I thought they were the king, the GOAT of drum libraries. And don't get me wrong, SD3 is an excellent drum library for producing and engineering drums. However, I personally do feel that SD3 has been dethroned as the best drum library with this update for Modern and Massive 2. Now, before you SD3 loyalists start to have your blood boil, stay tuned for the end of the video because I will give you a full detailed list of why I think Modern and Massive 2 outperforms Superior Drummer 3. Now, there are two traits when using a drum library with an EKit that have steered some people away from using GGD libraries, and that is hi-hat functionality and performance and the lack of Aftertouch. Well, I'm here to tell you that with this update, the hi-hats perform amazing. It couldn't be more of a night and day difference from previous libraries that GGD put out. And wouldn't you know it, Aftertouch is now officially available in Modern and Massive 2, and it works extremely well. I've put together a quick 2-minute demo using Modern and Massive 2 that's going to showcase intricate and delicate hi-hat work, a full dynamic spread of sound featuring light, delicate work including ghost notes, all the way to high full velocity cracks and hits, and then also using the new Aftertouch function at the end of the performance with some cymbal chokes. I hope you enjoy this original performance that I call When It's Get Good, It Gets Good. Sounds pretty great, doesn't it? I love how that sound came out so much. And I would like to make a disclaimer though real quick that the sounds you heard, in particularly talking about the drums, were not the directly out of the box sounds. This song, as well as all the individual instrument channels, including drums, all went through some post-processing within my DAW. But if you are curious how I mix my drums, I did make a video showing you my exact process using stock plugins as well as third-party plugins. This update for Modern and Massive 2 comes with a wealth of improvements and additions, but we're mostly going to focus on two things in this video, and that's going to be the hi-hat functionality / performance, as well as the Aftertouch, because I'm gearing this a little bit more for the EKit player than just the general drum producer. So if you're looking for a full video walkthrough of all the new additions and features in this update, I'd recommend checking out the GGD YouTube page. More than likely, Nolly and the team have made a video highlighting all the new features with this update, which I will definitely provide a link to that video in the description. The reason I'm not certain if that video exists yet is because this is being recorded before the official rollout of this update, which means I officially was part of the beta testing for this update. So a huge thank you to GGD for giving me the opportunity to test and provide feedback before the official rollout of this update. And as you might have assumed, my official angle with beta testing this update was as an EKit player. I dove deep into this plugin as an EKit player looking for any bugs, issues, and then of course things that could be improved upon that is going to enhance the experience for someone who wants to use this library at their EKit. A couple issues were found, and that feedback was sent directly to Nolly and GGD. And boy, they embraced anything that I threw their way and said, yep, let's get it fixed. And here we are today with what I am considering the best drum library for your EKit that you can buy. So let's take a look at the two areas of this drum library that improve our use as EKit players, starting with the hi-hats. Some of the issues that I personally experienced with previous GGD drum libraries regarding the hats would be when I would work between open and closed with my foot. Every now and then, after doing just an open accent or playing from open to close, as soon as I would close and push down with my foot, an open hat sample would still resonate before the closed hat samples started playing, even with the foot pushed all the way down. Well, that is absolutely no longer an issue at all. One of the other issues that I would experience is with the foot closed, and just the slightest bit of lift would cause really over-exaggerated open hat work that really wasn't replicating what your foot is doing on the pedal. That is also no longer an issue at all, and you are going to find playing these hats, how do I put this, just so improved. It's everything that you want a drum library's hi-hats to feel and perform like when you're using EKit hi-hats. Now let's be clear, we are still using an electronic drum kit. So it really depends on what level of kit you're playing, especially when it comes to what level of hi-hats came with your kit or you upgraded to. There are going to be nuances and things that are coming from the kit itself. We just unfortunately aren't quite to that perfect replica of an acoustic hi-hat just yet. But as I've said before, don't fret, the future does look promising as far as where EKits are going. So I guess where I'm going with that really is you as the player of your EKit, you have to understand how to make your hat function properly. This update from Modern and Massive 2 has taken away the heavy lifting that you would traditionally have to do to get the hi-hats to talk and work appropriately for you. Just remember that if you're getting unwanted sounds, because I've personally experienced this, not just with Modern and Massive 2, but all drum libraries at my EKit, it does require a little bit of extra attention with your foot to make sure that your hats are either properly closed or open or anywhere in between. Unlike at an acoustic kit where you can sit pretty relaxed with your foot and get a lot of unique sounds, because of our limitations with pads and rubber, we have to be a little bit more precise and a little bit more intentional with what we're trying to do at the hi-hat. Now, when you sit down and you play your hi-hats with this new update for the first time, I think the first thing you're really going to notice is just how clean the hats actually feel between the edge and the bow of the cymbal. And then, of course, the greater ease of being able to do open hat work either between the bow or the edge of the cymbal without any sort of artifacting or samples that shouldn't be there as you play. Now here's a couple tips to make sure that these hats work perfect for you with any session. I can't emphasize enough to y'all to make sure before you do any tracking, before you do any playing, go to the mappings page, go to the Learn CC button, and make sure you learn that continuous control of your pedal before you start. And you simply do that by going here, arming the Learn CC button, give your foot just one push and one release of the pedal, and make sure you go back to the software and turn off the arm function. That's one of the features that I do hope rolls out with another future update. I know that GGD had a ton of stuff to focus on at this time, because every other action button, when you arm it and then play the pad or trigger that you're assigning that sample to, after it receives that MIDI note, that capture function turns off automatically. And I have personally had sessions where out of nowhere, all of a sudden the hi-hat is just acting really funny. And when I go back into the mappings page, I realize that the armed function is still turned on. And so therefore, every lift and push of the hi-hat pedal, because it's trying to figure out what that CC is, it's never going to be accurate for you. So just make sure you follow those steps at the start of every session, and your hi-hats should be perfect. Now, here is a feature that makes this drum library so great for any EKit hi-hat, especially introductory EKit hi-hats. The higher end hi-hats, sorry, that's tough to say, that come with EKits have a full velocity range of 0 to 127. Now, some of you have more introductory hi-hats that only give you a CC value of 0 to 88 or 0 to 90. And if that's the case, a lot of the times your hi-hat isn't going to function properly because the library itself is looking for a 0 to 127 CC value when your hats can only open to this value. Let's introduce the CC minimum and maximum dials. After you've officially learned your CC, now you can play with the values of these two dials to actually hone in and get perfect the amount of close or open hats that performs specifically with your hi-hats. As someone who doesn't have a hi-hat that only has a 90 velocity maximum, you're personally gonna have to experiment with those dials to really tune in the proper close and open functions of your hi-hat. But if you were curious what those dials do, that's exactly what it does. Now, here are some hi-hat focused demonstrations of me just sitting down at the kit and just playing around. And these sounds that you're hearing are directly out of the box from Modern and Massive 2, and it is in fact a preset that I designed that if you would like, it's available for free in the description below. Now let's talk about Aftertouch, or polyphonic Aftertouch, which is technically like the legal official name for Aftertouch, but we're just going to call it Aftertouch. What is Aftertouch? It gives you the ability to choke cymbals in real time. This is a very welcome feature for any of us that use these with EKits, because there's nothing like adding a good cymbal choke to the song or the performance that you're working on. And the functionality of this Aftertouch works just as you would hope it would. Super quick, super responsive, works every time. as long as you are grabbing your cymbal where that trigger actually is to activate and tell the software this is a cymbal choke. Some tips that I would like to add when using Aftertouch at an EKit, just in general. I know that this isn't going to be any brand new information for those who have used Aftertouch with other drum libraries. Once again, remember, you are limited because this is an electronic drum kit, as opposed to an acoustic cymbal that you could literally grab anywhere to choke the resonance. Depending on what grade of cymbal you're working with, there are limited zones that you're going to be able to actually use to be able to activate that choking sound. Which, just like the hi-hats, what that means is you're just gonna have to practice. Practice does make perfect once you learn exactly where you need to grab those cymbals and you get that muscle memory down. It won't be an issue and you'll love using the Aftertouch functions with this library. I think that you're definitely going to find it easier if you start with just single cymbal chokes, meaning you have one hand with a stick in it that's striking. The other hand can still have your stick in it, but that's going to be your choking hand. I personally have not mastered or gotten down well double cymbal chokes, and here's a quick demonstration. Now that's just something that I am gonna have to practice because, as we mentioned, there are specific spots that need to be grabbed, and when you are doing a strike action and a grab action with two hands at the same time, it just takes practice to make it actually sound and perform how you're wanting it to. All you have to do to use the Aftertouch function within Modern and Massive 2 is just go down to this section right here and just flip the switch over to on. You do not need to pre-assign any cymbal chokes within the mapping. When polyphonic Aftertouch is turned on, all the cymbals should choke whenever you apply that hand pressure. All right, now for those of you that are Superior Drummer 3 loyalists, diehards, and you're here, fingers warmed up, ready at the keyboard, let me give you this list real quick before you come attacking me for this reason why I'm calling Modern and Massive 2 better than Superior Drummer 3. And it really comes down to just one super major big reason, but I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna start with some of the lesser important reasons why I think Modern and Massive 2 is better than SD3. Number one is just the size that is required to host these drum libraries. SD3 starts at 230 gigabytes of space needed. Now, most of us are going to be using external drives to host all of these samples and all of this big size for the library. But if you don't have that available, GGD definitely has SD3 beat as far as size goes, 20 gigs for using GGD Modern and Massive 2. And then, of course, I've mentioned it in a previous video, there's the price difference. This is GGD's most expensive drum library to date, but it comes with good reason. So Modern and Massive 2 officially right now is $219. Superior Drummer 3, for those of you that are in the market for that drum library, is $299, which is down from their original price of $399. And I believe they call it their summer something sale. So if you're looking at SD3, then yeah, right now is a great time to get in and get that while it's on sale. But if you were to take away the sales, then obviously GGD is quite a bit more affordable than Superior Drummer 3. I think that the user interface experience with GGD is just better. I think it's cleaner. I think it's more aesthetically pleasing to look at. It's also a lot more intuitive. Now, I know SD3 is a very huge program. Both libraries do feature a gigantic amount of drums and cymbals that you can interchange in between. So yes, with either drum library, you can find the drum sound that you're looking for. But when it comes to Modern and Massive 2, personally, I think the samples sound better. I know I'm drawing a line in the sand here. Sound better with Modern and Massive 2. And then, of course, another argument some of you are going to make is that SD3 allows you to use a lot more assignable zones, which, don't get me wrong, is cool. But only those of you that are what I would consider at a professional level of drumming and using an EKit, that functionality and that feature is not going to be that high on anyone else's list for importance. Modern and Massive 2 does allow you to assign multiple zones, just not as many as SD3, but the important ones, the ones that you need to get a drum sounding like a drum. I find the multi-zone assigning for SD3 as a weak argument to compare against other drum libraries because only the most advanced users are going to be using that function anyway. Now, this next point is going to lead right into my biggest reason why I say Modern and Massive 2 is better than Superior Drummer 3. The presets and the sounds that come right out of the box are two totally different products. That's to be expected. When it comes to Superior Drummer 3, you have to put a lot of time and work into getting those drums to sound, in my opinion, studio ready. Yes, Superior Drummer 3 also has a gigantic list of presets, but every single one that I have clicked on, which has probably been about 85% of them now, it's still, to me, just not a polished, studio-ready drum sound that I would want to use in a session. You can achieve that final polished sound within the Superior Drummer plugin in that mixing board. But then again, you've got to know what you're doing. You're likely going to want to run some bus chains. You're likely going to want to do some parallel compression. And for those that don't know how to do that, it's a no-brainer. You get amazing, what I would consider, studio-ready drums out of Modern and Massive 2. Superior Drummer 3, hyper realistic drum sounds. It's like you're standing in the room right next to the snare when that gets hit. Modern and Massive 2, get recording, baby. Studio-ready drums. You don't have to touch that mixing board if you don't want to. And now for the biggest reason why I think Modern and Massive 2 is the new king of drum libraries. It's just more fun to play. When I want to sit down at the drum kit and I want to put on a good pair of headphones and just get in the zone and play some drums, my ears love the sound that comes out of Modern and Massive 2's plugin. As opposed to Superior Drummer 3, whenever I fire that up and I have a good set of cans on and I toggle through the presets, I just can't find a kit that hits and emotionally connects me to the drum kit like Modern and Massive 2 does. Using Modern and Massive 2 is just fun. So much fun. And if fun doesn't rank completely at the top of why you play drums, it's time for you to reevaluate why you play drums. My name is CK. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I'm certain that I'm going to see some of you in the comments section, which is great. And no matter which drum library you end up using and becomes your favorite, as long as you're having fun with it, that's really the most important thing. I'd appreciate your consideration for a subscription to the channel, a like on the video, and then of course, let's get talking in the comments section. Once again, I'm CK, Arcane Arrow is my music project, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.